Watching Iron Man die was the most painful thing we've had to experience in a movie. Since the day we came back from the theaters after watching Avengers Endgame, we've all prayed for one thing, and that's his return. Why? We adore him 3,000 times. In this video, we're going to be talking about the surprising Marvel update that has fans convinced that RDJ is making a comeback in the Armor Wars. Firstly, what's the big update? A Disney Plus series titled Armor Wars was announced as the first MCU installment to follow Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark in 2020. It was described as a study of what the MCU would be like if Stark technology fell into the wrong hands. Because it continues the storylines from Spider-Man, Far From Home, and WandaVision, this notion proved to be intriguing to fans. Additionally, Cheadle was cast as the show's lead, which was a first for the Iron Man sidekick. Since there had been little recent information on the show's production, some fans speculated that it might be postponed. Others even assumed that the project might be abandoned completely. But everything changed when Marvel dropped a shocking update that turned Armor Wars from a Disney Plus limited series to a theatrically distributed feature film. According to the news source, the studio changed course on Armor Wars because it is dedicated to having the tale conveyed the proper way. As a result, many fans are wondering what might be in Armor Wars to merit a theatrical release. One popular theory holds that Robert Downey Jr. might reprise his role as Tony Stark in the movie. Industry insiders, including Grace Randolph on Twitter, have started speculating that the Iron Man spin-off will feature the billionaire philanthropist coming back to the MCU, only this time as artificial intelligence. This happened as soon as it was announced that Armor Wars would be reformatted and only come to Disney Plus after having a theatrical run. We really hope it's true. Secondly, Tony returning as an AI. Robert Downey Jr. might return for further Iron Man adventures in a variety of ways, especially now that the multiverse is a tool in the MCU sandbox. Making Tony Stark an AI, though, would be the most exciting way to reintroduce him. Tony Stark makes an AI backup of himself in a Marvel Comics story, so that he can be uploaded and continue living in that form after he passes away. So it's a possibility that the MCU Tony Stark might have an artificial version of himself uploaded to the cloud, prepared to rock and roll as soon as someone wakes him up from rest mode. It would be similar to how audiences are familiar with Tony Stark's AI programs, like Jarvis and Friday. As Tony Stark bids his final farewells in Avengers Endgame, an Iron Man helmet projects a replica of the hero, leading some fans to speculate that Marvel has already revealed Tony Stark might make a comeback in the form of some artificial intelligence technology. Many people think that the blue-hued Tony shown was more than just a pre-recorded message, because he winks at his daughter Morgan after telling her he loves her. When one takes into account the sheer number of characters who will only appear in the movie as a result of their connection to Tony Stark, this theory becomes even more tenable. After all, Tony's best friend, Rhodey, played by Cheadle, is the movie's main character. It's a plausible theory, and I won't be surprised one bit if it turns out to be completely true. Thirdly, RDJ has one condition to come back. On the Joe Rogan podcast recently, Robert Downey Jr. said that restarting his journey in the MCU wasn't an option for him, and he thinks that he's given his role all that he had to offer. He played Iron Man for more than 10 years of his career, beginning with the first Iron Man film, which launched the MCU in 2008. In the 2019 film Avengers Endgame, Tony Stark, better known as Iron Man, was killed off as he gave his own life while successfully saving his friends and family. The actor explained that he had to have a thoroughly thought out and thrilling enough return to the Marvel Universe for him to be excited about the role once more. He said that there would have to be a highly convincing argument and a set of events that made his return evident. He also added that one more thing that's stopping him from returning is that he wants to explore more characters. If Robert Downey Jr. ever returns to the adored superhero movies, that is a question only time will be able to answer. We can only hope for the best. Lastly, all we know about Armor Wars so far. The extensive MCU timeline may still be a little challenging for some, but Marvel Studios does provide context when necessary. The fact that Armor Wars occurs after the events of Secret Invasion, about which we also know a few things, was confirmed during Disney's 2022 D23 Expo. One of them is the fact that Rhodey, played by Cheadle, will also have a supporting role in that series, so it stands to reason that the Samuel L. Jackson starring program will put Cheadle's character Rhodes in a strong position for his film, and we're interested to see how things turn out. Phases 5 and 6 of the MCU's schedule do not currently include Armor Wars. It was supposed to start in 2023, but the decision to make a movie out of the story is said to have pushed it back. Like prior Marvel blockbusters, it will debut in theaters. After a short delay, you will be able to stream it on the Disney Plus website. Now let's talk about how much RDJ was paid for his MCU appearances. At number 1, Iron Man 1. Robert Downey Jr. had a questionable past before the filming of this movie, and he was not an action star, because of which he was paid a low salary of just $500,000. It was a risky move to cast him at that time, but a lucky one, as it did turn out to be one of his most iconic roles. Next, at number 2, Iron Man 2. After the success of the first movie and Downey proving himself to be the best for the role, he was paid a whopping $10 million for the second installment. Although the movie earned more than the first one at the box office, the critics weren't too fond of it and called it underwhelming. Moving on to number 3, The Avengers. His $10 million salary reflected the fact that Downey and Stark were two of the movie's anchors. For the following several movies, his base salary was $10 million. Because of how well the movie did at the box office, Downey's earnings eventually reached $50 million. I'm not surprised at all. The movie and his character were a massive success. After that, at number 4, Iron Man 3. For the third and final Iron Man film, Downey's $10 million salary per film and $50 million for the total phase were maintained. The film was the highest-grossing Iron Man picture ever, earning $1.2 billion worldwide, despite disappointing some die-hard fans. Sure, the movie wasn't up to the mark, but his acting was nonetheless. Next, at number 5, Avengers: Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron has a projected $1.4 billion in revenue, making it the Avengers movie with the lowest box office earnings. According to estimates, Downey made between $50 million and $80 million. Even if Tony Stark was recklessly putting the world in peril, Robert Downey Jr. was always a good bet. Average movie, brilliant performance. Moving on to number 6, Civil War. Another big hit, Civil War made $1.15 billion worldwide, almost surpassing Iron Man as the highest-grossing movie. Downey received about $50 million for his role as Captain America's adversary. The profit sharing, back end, and a $5 million bonus for outperforming the previous Captain America movie's box office total are not included though. His earnings fell just short of $64 million as a result. Number 7, we have Spider-Man: Homecoming. One of the most well-known fictional characters in history is Spider-Man, and Homecoming marked Peter Parker's first independent journey under the Disney brand. Although the movie itself earned a respectable $880 million worldwide, Downey ultimately came out on top. With roughly 10 minutes of screen time, Downey earned between $10 million and $15 million for the movie, or at least $1 million per minute. Not bad at all for 10 minutes of screen time. After that, at number 8, Avengers: Infinity War. With the success of Iron Man, Downey helped to start the first installment of the MCU's climax, Infinity War. Downey received at least $75 million from the movie's over $2 billion global box office haul. That movie was mind-blowing, and so was Downey's performance. It's surprising that he didn't get paid more. Lastly, at number 9, we have Avengers: Endgame. Many believed Downey's final Iron Man performance would be in Endgame, and they were inevitably proven to be correct. Downey's final MCU payday was around $75 million, with the alleged 8% back-end contract netting him an additional $55 million for this film alone. Downey went out with a bang in this one. Crazy movie, unbelievable performance. He was truly a treat to watch. That's a wrap for this video. Are you excited to watch Armor Wars? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.